We have an important story to tell you on this special edition of Chasing News. It's about our veterans. So many veterans go overseas, they fight for our country, they protect our freedom, and they make sacrifices. Some returning home, they have trouble finding a job. Many can't even find a home, and they lack the resources, they lack the opportunity. Sometimes it comes down to job skills, sometimes it comes down to the local economy. Now, there are a lot of groups out there that are trying to help. You're going to meet some of those vets and some of those organizations tonight on Chasing News. A recent report estimates there are 583 homeless veterans in New Jersey, and there may be countless others who never show up in the reports because they're called couch surfers. These are guys that have lost their jobs and lost their way and lost their homes, and they go from house to house, family, friends, just trying to get a roof over their head. Many of these veterans are jobless in addition to being homeless. Some find transitional housing. Some do find permanent housing. We're going to bring you the story of one veteran looking for just that.
You okay?
Yeah. Just got to catch my breath.
Yeah. What, were you in a hurry? You're trying to make it back?
No.
Oh.
These days here I get winded
Yeah.
kind of quick, so I can't run like I used to.
Frank Westcott served in the Army and the National Guard. He lost his job as a taxi driver 2 years ago, was living with a friend, but recently became homeless. I caught up with him as he was meeting with a field representative from Soldier On, a mobile service that finds housing for homeless veterans.
Are you still looking for work?
If I can find it, yeah.
Okay. As a driver?
Yeah.
And how much do you get for Social Security?
So, $8.52.
$8.52? Okay.
Yeah, that's, I got one increase since I started of $3
Okay.
a month.
Right. Okay. So not much.
No. I won't even buy a gallon of milk.
Frank never owned a home, did rent apartments over the years, but was evicted and didn't realize that he might be eligible for some veteran benefits.
Tried to apply for any service connections or anything through the VA to increase your income?
No.
Okay.
I always thought that you had to have 20 years in the service
Okay.
to get a retirement.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's retirement. Then there's the non-service connected pension.
I never knew about any of that.
Okay. And then the potential for a service connected pension. Were you ever injured in the military?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I might have had some hearing loss.
Where'd you sleep that first night?
I slept on a bench next to ShopRite.
I asked Frank if he had a family he could reach out to. He said he had brothers. Does he know your situation?
No.
Have you reached out to your brother?
We don't talk. Nobody in the family talks.
So there's bad blood, or it just drifted away over time?
I don't know.
I mean, at this point in your situation, have you thought about reaching out to him, letting him know? You might want to know that you've lost your job, you've lost your home.
Brother.
Frank is typical of Soldier On's clients, who are primarily single men over the age of 50. They are often veterans who are on the wait list for income-based housing and may not have the skills needed to land a job.
What we found is single veterans typically have burned bridges with their family members. They're the ones that have been chronically homeless for several years. They have co-occurring mental health and medical diagnoses or maybe addictions that haven't been treated for several years. So they really don't have family ties or maybe community resources that they can access anymore.
Just walk me through what's going to happen with Frank.
So with Frank, right now what we're pursuing is transitional housing, since the hotel placement is so short term, and he is open to a transitional housing program. So that's what we're working on now. We're working on applications for that, and then while we're doing that,
could be what, a private home, that could be a group home.
Transitional housing is actually a program for veterans where they can stay for anywhere from 90 days to 2 years to gain the stability that they need to transition back into the community.
It's a transition that Soldier On hopes to make easier through a planned transitional community in Tinton Falls. It is based on successful communities in Massachusetts for veterans like Frank.
In Tinton Falls, we're looking to build 75 units of permanent affordable housing for single male veterans, given the demographic of the veteran we've been seeing and kind of indicative of the point in time numbers. That's the population that needs housing. So we're going to start with single male veterans, and what we're looking to do is build units for them that will be affordable, that they can stay in for the rest of their lives and kind of reestablish them as community members.
The problem among homeless and jobless vets persists. So many men and women go off to fight for our country, fight for our liberty, come back from wars, and they find themselves living on a bench, without a job, without a place to go, without family. I want to introduce you to somebody who has become a champion of veterans across this country. He's a congressman in New Jersey. His name is Tom MacArthur. Congressman MacArthur, great to have you on Chasing News. How are you?
Thank you, Bill. It's good to be here with you again.
I met a couple of vets. We were out there talking to them, people that have really struggled just to get anywhere, to get that shelter over their head, to get that job. What is Congress doing about this problem?
We have more veterans in South Jersey than any other part of the state, and I represent a lot of them. And I've heard the same stories you're describing. People come back from serving. They can't get a job, which is one of the main causes, joblessness, and mental health and addiction issues is another main cause of homelessness. There's a few things we can do. We've passed some sort of targeted bills like Hire More Heroes, which I was a co-sponsor of, which gave small businesses an incentive to hire veterans. A piece of legislation in the last Congress that I authored and got passed into law was creating a joint executive committee between the Department of Defense and the VA to require them to work together. They've never done that. People are transitioning from the military to the civilian sector, and the military wasn't really set up to help them do that. So we're at the early stage, but it was passed into law, and that joint executive committee exists, and the VA and the DOD are working together.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate all you're doing on behalf of your constituents and these vets in Washington. All right, I want to bring in our guests for tonight. We've got some special guests here in studio with us. Billy Hearn, who is a former Navy veteran. Billy, you've been helped out by some of these programs, and we certainly want to hear your story. Jack Fanous, you are the head of GI Go, and you certainly have been out there helping out a lot of these veterans, help them get placed and get jobs. And Assemblyman John Bramnick, you're the Assembly Minority Leader in the New Jersey State Legislature. John, I want to start with you. There is a bill that was passed a few months ago, goes into effect at the end of December. Tell me about it, and how does it help veterans in New Jersey?
If a vet has been charged with a nonviolent crime, and it's a result of their experience in the military, the prosecutor can have a diversionary program outside the criminal justice system, meaning that they go for help as opposed to getting some sort of criminal penalty. It was unanimously passed. It's great legislation, and it will help the veteran.
So you sponsored this and you pushed this through. What inspired it? Was it somebody that came to you, a constituent, a veteran?
Tom Rockneen, I give him a lot of credit. He's a veteran, represents veterans in his law practice. He said this is something we need, and it was, in my judgment, common sense.
Okay. Jack, let me ask you, something like that's got to be very helpful as you're trying to get these veterans placed. Just tell me about the organization a little bit and what inspired it and how you've been able to help.
Sure. So GI Go Fund, we're celebrating our 11th year right now. We were founded in 2006 after one of my best friends was killed in Iraq, Lieutenant Seth DeVorn. And we've been able to help thousands of veterans, not only across the state of New Jersey, but across the country now, with job placement, finding veterans who are homeless, finding them housing. We're really proud to see this bill passed. We actually had a Veterans Court in the city of Newark. We're celebrating our 6th year right now.
Was this a real hindrance before this bill passed? I mean, it goes into effect in December. Are there vets now that are kind of hanging in limbo, waiting?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the city of Newark, this doesn't happen anywhere, and we've been lobbying for it for a long time. Senator Booker now, who was Mayor Booker then, created this pilot program. There was a lot of pushback throughout the state to say this isn't what the state needs, but now
why pushback? Cost? What was it?
Cost and the idea of segregating a certain part of the population, giving them their own court. We got some pushback, but we're really proud to see the state legislature step up and pass this throughout the state because it's necessary and required. A lot of our veterans are facing a lot of struggles when they come home. And that doesn't end a year or 2 years when it's over. You might see the effects of it several years later.
Billy, what was your experience like? I mean, you were homeless and Soldier On, great organization. They got you housing, and then GI Go helped you get a job. How long were you homeless? What was this experience like?
I wasn't homeless long, but they took me, they got me a place to stay. And after that, they referred me to GI Go and got me employment to help me maintain.
What kind of job do you have?
It's a handy, it's a interesting group. It's a, we get jobs through agencies, and we go out and fix, like, say, install TV sets or put together furniture. And there's lots of different kinds of jobs. Ultimately, it's what I believe, it'll ultimately expand to many, many different areas.
Let me ask you, Jack, what's the satisfaction level like when you see a story like Billy's? I mean, huge success, got him off, literally off the streets.
It's what I do this for. I mean, every single day, you know, obviously when we first started the organization, we were devastated when our buddy was killed, but every single time I see a veteran close on their home, send their kids off to school, or able to send their kids to college, you know, really turn their lives around, I feel like that's just a big win, and that's why we always focus on employment, because that's a great win for us to get. And I feel like it's my friend Seth helping his buddies who are back here now. So I mean, it's really why we do this. Seeing those success stories is fantastic.
John, what else happens in the legislature to help groups like this? I mean, it seems to me like the private sector, or inspired by the death of a friend, is what gets people motivated to act. And is there anything out there that the legislature can or will or wants to do going forward?
We also passed a tax exemption for vets, just a few $1,000s. That was done not too long ago. Yeah. But the bottom line is that we have to make sure people remember that they gave their sometimes lives and service to our country, and sometimes we're forgetting that, and we make sure in the legislature we don't forget it.
Okay, thanks for all your hard work, appreciate it. Jack, thanks, good to see you.
It's my pleasure, thank you.
Congratulations. The good news is that Soldier On has helped Frank Westcott find transitional housing that he can stay in for up to 2 years, so hopefully he is on his way. Coming up, we're going to bring you the story of an organization that is trying to help veterans get the job skills that they need to succeed. Welcome back to Chasing News. I'm Bill Spadia. We've got a lot more show for you tonight. Of course, we'll check in with our meteorologist Dan Zarrow with your local weather. And we told you earlier before the break about Frank Westcott, a veteran who returned to find himself jobless and homeless. Well, the good news is that thanks to the great folks at Soldier On, he's got transitional housing for the next 2 years at least. And this is an organization that helps veterans in 8 New Jersey counties find homes so they can get a roof over their head and start their life again. But I also want to turn to another part of this, and that is the job search. There's a great organization in Newark, right near the train station, that is working with veterans, trying to get them the job skills training that they need, the education, and of course, help them find the job that's going to keep them off the street. Jack Fanous started the GI Go Fund after one of his best friends was killed in Iraq.
We're all young kids, and it just hit home that these wars are real. These soldiers and these Marines are real individuals with real family members, and they sacrificed everything, and we didn't do much after September the 11th, and we felt that this was our best way to give back, was to help soldiers that are coming home, Marines that are coming home, seamen that are coming home, and helping them find jobs, helping them find housing, education, helping them put their lives back together after they pressed pause and said, you know, we'll serve for you guys.
Initially, the GI Go Fund was focused on getting homeless vets off the streets of Newark.
Where I am right now in my office, we're here in Newark, New Jersey. Right behind us is Heroes Highway, adjacent to Newark Penn Station. We decided rather than sitting behind our desks and looking for them to come to us for help, we would go to them. And by going to them, we had to find where they were. And ultimately, Newark Penn Station, Newark Airport is where many, many of our homeless veterans live. And the easiest way to serve them was in the middle of the night, because obviously this is a busy city. You can't really identify who's a veteran, who's homeless on the streets of Newark. The only time to do that is in the middle of the night. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you come outside. The only people that are there are the people that are homeless. I'm very proud to say that we've had a significant impact there. I mean, when we first started, there were several hundred homeless veterans living at Newark Penn Station. We're now under 30. Many of those people have been housed.
GI Go runs a Stand Down for Homeless Vets event that draws hundreds of veterans and offers food, clothing, checkups, jobs, and legal assistance. Today, veterans like 28-year-old Deshaun Moore are GI Go's focus. Moore is now going to college, something he never thought about doing, and living in a single-family home with his wife and twin boys.
I was, pretty much homeless, like living with, trying to live with in-laws. Like we were pretty much, me and my wife, my twin boys, we were living out of our conversion van. Currently, I live in a one-family home, 2-bedroom with a loft. It has a backyard, a garage, basement. Like it's decked out, family ready.
Robert Lyons, an Army veteran from Desert Storm, worked in the Newark Public Schools as a security guard for 12 years, but is looking to advance his career.
I'm open for a lot of things. He just gave me this brochure here of Vet Pro, and it's basically a program. You create your own hours. You do a variety of things for people like mounting TVs or assembling furniture. And there's room for advancement and good pay.
I help veterans basically with employment, their education needs, if they need to file a claim, anything that will make them more marketable or anything that could, get them ahead in life.
Lawrence and Stacy Wood are married, both former Marines. They are currently working part-time but want full-time positions.
I served in Yuma, Arizona from 2000 to 2004, United States Marine Corps. I was with a squadron called MOTS 1. It stood for Marine Aviation Weapons and Tactics. What I did basically was I took care of the logs and records, the weight and balance for the aircraft, the fix and rotor wing.
I served from 1997 to 2011. I served in Okinawa, which was one of my first duty stations, and then primarily in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I deployed in 2007 to Iraq. GI Fund, they have assisted me with updating my resume, resources and stuff, being new to New Jersey. I'm working nights at FedEx Ground, and why I'm obtaining my education at the University of Phoenix online.
For many of these veterans, as long as they served 3 or more years, what makes them more marketable is a chance to get a free education and a monthly stipend through the GI Bill. They can also choose from 200 training courses online at jobs.gigo.org. 21,000 new applicants each month log on looking for resume help and training.
Oftentimes we'll take a veteran's resume, which is in terrible format, and really turn it around and put it in the correct format, really help them tell the story of who they are so that they really have a shot at finding work.
More job training will be available in New Jersey and around the country thanks to a new technology center partnership with Panasonic.
The GI Go Fund is building a training center, and we're helping equip with technologies to help support our military partners and veterans to help transition them into the workforce, right? Giving them the skills they need, the training they need to make it easier for them.
Panasonic wants to help train veterans for a number of reasons.
They have great motivation and determination. People in the military are very good at working together as teams, and I think that's very helpful in being in a collaborative environment.
It's a challenge to translate and to really get the line of communications open, and that's what really we advocate for, is to the employers to educate them and help them understand exactly what veterans bring to the table and how some of the skill sets they brought home with them from the military can actually benefit their place of work. They're real leaders, and that leadership can really help a place of business.
What an incredible organization. Certainly they've got their work cut out for them, but I know the veterans that are getting the help they need are so appreciative. Welcome back to Chasing News. I'm Bill Spadia. Well, I hope you got something out of the information we gave you tonight. Certainly, we wanted to bring you the stories of success. Robert Lyons, Deshaun Moore, Frank Westcott, at least they are on their way with a job and with a roof over their head. That's the start. But those are 3 great stories. And, of course, the married Marine couple that has a job now. But outside of those stories, how many veterans are in our community that tonight will not have a roof over their head, that tonight will know that they'll go to sleep somewhere? Maybe it's in a park, maybe it's in a bus station, maybe it's in a train station, and tomorrow morning they'll wake up and try to get their life in order. The idea is that you know that there are so many veterans out there that have served our country faithfully. They've done their duty. They had their sense of duty and patriotism, and then they come back home and they can't get a break. Well, I hope you help with some of the organizations that you learned about tonight, because they need your help. And you can go online. We'll post some of this on our website. I'll certainly tweet it out. We'll put it on Facebook. There are great organizations out there that are doing their part. And of course, we checked in with Tom MacArthur, our congressman in New Jersey, who is doing everything he can to make sure that the right federal resources are behind these vets. And this all started, the rhetoric started at least, and now the action is behind it when President Donald Trump talked about protecting our veterans during his campaign. Well, it seems that he's following through with that promise, and thanks to not only the brave, courageous politicians out there doing the right thing, the organizations that are out there helping carry out this important mission to get a roof and a job for our veterans. All right, thanks for watching the show tonight. Always happy to be in your homes. We will see you tomorrow night.